We have started. We're almost there. 10:28.
It's time. Let's start.
So shall we?
Okay. Good morning.
Okay.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Nilanjan, and on behalf of Indian Chamber of Commerce, I welcome you all to this webinar, Australia India Mining Skills Partnership Forum. Before starting, I would like to wish you all the best of health in this pandemic time, and please be safe. So, as India aims to increase its mineral output and undertakes reforms in the mining sector, the contribution of a skilled workforce will be of paramount importance. With companies focused on skilling and upskilling their workforce, the efficacy is bound to increase as well as the work environment will be much safer. Australia, under its Australia India Business Exchange program, is supporting an expanded range of two-way commercial partnership. Against this background, Indian Chamber of Commerce, along with Austrade, is organizing this webinar. I would like to welcome all the speakers on board, and this session will be moderated by none other than Mr. V.K. Arora, who is the Chief Mentor of KCT Wholesale. Over to you, Mr. Arora.
Thank you, Nilanjan, and good morning and good afternoon, friends from India and Australia. Now, there are a large number of reasons why India and Australia like to work together. Ours is a shared history of a few million years when we were both a part of the same Gondwana land. It is said by geologists that they separated at some point. Gondwana land split up with Australia on one side and India on another. This is perhaps the reason why both these countries are rich in coal deposits, and not only coal deposits, but a lot of other mineral deposits. We have not only coal, iron ore, bauxite, gold, but for some reason, I don't know why, the best deposits of gold, iron ore, and coal went on to your side, and what we were left for the second best. Well, I think it was very unfair, as you have a history of only 300 years, where we have a history of 3,000 years. But we are continuing to remain as friends, and our friendship has been reinforced by many activities, QUAD being the latest. So this is an exercise by like-minded democracies to help each other in case there is some need for some help anytime in the future. Anyone who has visited Australia and Australian mines can certify that they are running very efficient and productive mines using large size equipments. India needs to increase in the production of coal from the present 800 million tons to about 1400 million tons. Coal India, the biggest coal mining company in the world, is to increase its production from presently 600 million tons to 1000 million tons by 2024. Singareni will increase its production from 60 million tons to 85 million tons. And then we have these captive blocks allotted earlier, which will go up to 150 million tons, and commercial mines, which are being allotted now, the commercial blocks would take it to 200 million tons in 3 to 4 years. So as we can see, there's a lot of action on the coal mining front. Similarly, production of iron ore, bauxite, copper, and rare earth is to go up substantially to take advantage of the policy of auctioning of the mineral blocks. When there is so much of action on the mining front, there is a very strong need for trained personnel and the need to upgrade the skills of mining operators and also to bring in the latest technology. This is where Australia has been very helpful. They have set up a center at IIT ISM Dhanbad to upgrade the skills of Indian mining personnel. Director General of Mine Safety, which we call DGMS, has benefited by adopting some of the Australian standards for equipments here. All in all, these steps by way of extending our hand to Australia and their helping us out are in line with our friendship, which have been there for a number of years. So we in Australia are in it together for a long haul. If we have floods in Kerala and in the hills and fires in Uttaranchal, you have forest fires in Queensland and floods in and around mining areas. All these are now being attributed to the greenhouse gas emissions. Some say because of the coal. The signals are very clear. We have to switch over to responsible mining and responsible and efficient use of coal. In this, the two countries are definitely together. So all over the world, there is a clamor for reducing use of coal. India has clearly stated that while we have complied with our NDC, the nationally determined contributions, we shall continue to use coal to the extent of 50% of our power requirements by 2030-2040. So by 2030-40, reduction in GHG, the greenhouse gases, will take place only by efficient use of technology to produce and use this coal so that carbon emissions are very minimal. Now, there are areas where we feel that we need technological advancements, and Australia could help us out. These are in respect of technological advancement and skills upgrading in the following areas. Those mine surveying, modern survey methods involving flying of drones by skilled drone pilots and then processing the captured images by photo programmers to develop mine surfaces. Then the geotechnical studies, drone-based wall mapping are used by mining companies to a certain slope and bench stabilities. Definitely we need a help there. GIS, linking surface maps of mines and allied areas with GIS platforms and its regular updating. Then the most important is the database management. Now each mineral mine generates a lot of data on daily basis, but the companies lack skilled data management personnel, including data engineers and data science. So analyzing this data drives more fact-based decision-making rather than intuition-based decisions. We in the industry need to create a pool of skilled talent in the industry on this front too. Then there are remote operation centers. We have seen remote operation centers in some of the mines, skilled operators for handling the remote operations and managing the proper functioning of the infrastructure and IT systems would be required in India. This is in short of what we would be looking forward to the Australian companies. But with these words, I would like to welcome our Australian guests and the Indian guests, and we hope the interactions today will be useful to both of us. Thank you very much. And now I will pass on the stage to Mr. MC Thomas, who is going to give the opening remarks on behalf of Indian Chamber of Commerce. Over to you, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Arora. Good morning and good afternoon, all the delegates and all the distinguished speakers who joined us today. On behalf of the Indian Chamber of Commerce, it's my pleasure and privilege to welcome each one of you to this program focused on Australia-India mining skill partnerships. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to Ms. Usha Singh, Director HR MOIL, to this forum. I also would like to welcome on behalf of ICC, Mr. N.K. Nanda, former Director Technical NMDC, Mr. V.K. Arora, Chief Mentor KCT Coal Sales, Mr. Tim White, Trade and Investment Commissioner, Southeast Asia for Austrade, Mr. Sanjay Sharma, CEO, Skill Council for Mining Sector, Mr. Stephen Boxall, General Manager, Resource Center of Excellence, Ms. Janine Herzig, Director and former President IMM and Director at Waste Resources, and Professor Edward Beckingham, Director of Engagement, Monash School of Business School. I extend a warm welcome to all the participants. I think close to 50 people have already signed up and joined us for this session. India and Australia hold a very long-standing relationship that has undergone positive evolution over years. Driven by the underlying shared values, strong democracies, and Commonwealth traditions, the bilateral relationship have only fortified, leading to strong economical, political, and cultural, as well as democratic ties between the two nations. In terms of economic relationship between the two nations, India's growing economic strength has been relevant to the partnership with Australia, and increased policy dialogues are being undertaken to take the relationship to uncharted heights. Particularly, the 2018 release of the India Economic Strategy 2035 by the Australian government reflects the efforts to envision and capture opportunities in the Indian market has to offer. As all of you know, the trade between the two countries in the last year was over 30 billion, and which is growing about 11% in the CAGR basis. While India export a lot of items, including pearls, gems, etc., to Australia, we import a large amount of coal, copper, ores, and concentrates, gold, etc., from Australia. And there is a very strong growth on both sides of this trade balance. Besides bilateral economic ties, India and Australia are strongly associated in terms of resource and energy security. A joint working group on energy and minerals was established in 1999 to expand our relationship in the energy and resource sector. Both nations have decided to diversify and expand their resource partnership, and agreement signed in the field of mining and processing of critical and strategic minerals reflects commitment to collaborate in areas where both can competently and complement each other and meet technological demands of the future economy. Particularly, the focus has been on technological partnership to explore and extract minerals. Australia is a mining country which has best-in-class operations, be it Rio Tinto, BHP in the iron ore side, and host of other very good companies in different other minerals. And Australia has set up excellent educational centers also for mining and related technologies. Even Tata Steel, we have experience of sending a lot of our colleagues to University of New South Wales for technical studies from our middle and senior management levels. I'm sure today's conference will delve at Australia-India partnership opportunities in the field of skills and training in the mining sector. And as the world is moving towards a technology-driven digital economy, digital way of operations, I'm sure these learnings will go a long way in supporting us to learn and do things much better in India in the mining sector. And I look forward to a very good deliberation today, and Indian Chamber of Commerce will be extremely happy to collaborate and support companies in India and Australia to come together and build on this further. Thank you, everyone, and stay safe. Thank you so much. Unmute, Mr. Arora.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Thomas. And I would like to invite Mr. Tim White, Trade and Investment Commissioner, South Asia. I can see that he likes his stay in India, and that's why he's wearing an Indian jacket as he comes in front of you right now. Over to you, Mr. Tim White.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arora. And yes, I'm glad we were coordinating today on our Nehru jackets. It's great to be with everyone. And yeah, good morning to everyone with us on the Indian side. Good afternoon to those in Australia. And thanks, of course, in particular to our partners at the Indian Chamber of Commerce, not just for today's event, but for their long-term commitment to building the commercial relationship between our two countries. As you've heard from both Mr. Arora and Mr. Thomas, Australia and India's relationship in the mining sector really runs very deep. We've been working together in this sector for a number of decades now, and of course Australia is quite proud to be a reliable supplier both of the commodities and of the services and technology capabilities that are needed to help drive India's mining sector and downstream industries growth. And of course, as India implements quite an ambitious mining industry reform package and pursues its industrial self-sufficiency strategy, the Australian mining services and technology sector can support productivity gains here in India. Of course, Australia is a global leader in mining and mineral services innovation. And as everyone on today's call knows, there's a really good reason for that. And that's because the sector is crucial to our economy. So in 2019, just to give you a snapshot, our resources industry generated about $290 billion in export revenue. And that represented more than half of Australia's total global exports. And together, the mining and related technology services and equipment sector accounted for approximately 15% of our GDP and supports directly or indirectly at least 10% of jobs in Australia too. So it's a really crucial sector for our economy. And of course, our success in this industry relies very heavily on a high-performing workforce, which in turn requires the world-leading mining skills, training and education, and that's obviously the topic for today's discussion. So on the QS World University rankings for this year, 4 of the top 6 global institutions for mining and mineral engineering are in Australia, and we've got a further 4 universities ranked in the top 25 globally. So fair to say that we're performing quite strongly in that area. And our tailored and outcomes-driven mining education offering includes both technical skills training and, of course, executive courses to ensure the best possible skills across the entire sector. And, of course, our training institutions are working very closely with our mining research institutions as well. So we have, to give you an example, a system of cooperative research centres that brings together public and private sector organisations to drive innovation in the sector. And that's backed up by quite a generous R&D tax incentive scheme that allows both foreign and domestic investors in the Australian mining industry to get quite generous tax refunds and offsets for their R&D expenditure. And there are other initiatives we are running to equip our mining workforce with the best capabilities to deliver operationally in the sector. But we know there's more work to do. Mr. Arora mentioned the workforce changes that are happening in this sector. So we know that's driven very much by things like automation, robotics, artificial intelligence, data analytics. So our mining industry and our training providers are responding as quickly as they can by incorporating those sorts of capabilities, the Industry 4.0 trends into everything that they do. And as Mr. Thomas has said, the backdrop to today's discussion is an Australia-India relationship that is genuinely closer than ever before. So our Prime Ministers last year elevated the relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership, and that was in recognition of our deep economic complementarity, but also our shared interests in a secure and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. And we signed at that time as well an MOU on strengthening commercial, technical and research partnerships in critical minerals, which is really an emerging area of cooperation for us. Now, ladies and gentlemen, today's event is part of the Australia-India Business Exchange. I hope you can see my backdrops here, reflecting that we're part of that program with today's event. It's an initiative that aims to build two-way commercial partnerships and to support business understanding for mutual prosperity between our two countries. And Austrade, my organisation, is really delighted to be leading the AIBX program for the Australian government and, of course, working really closely with our partners, including at the Indian Chamber of Commerce. So I'm sure it's going to be a very productive discussion today. Looking forward to working with all of you to strengthen our mining skills and education partnerships. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Yeah, that was a nice, close-up of the backdrop which you gave it to us, the Taj Mahal in the back. The only thing is that there were too many people and they were not wearing masks, which will not go down well with the Indian audience today, Otherwise, Thank you very much for giving a very good start to today's event. Now, next I will call upon Mr. Sanjay Sharma, Chief Executive Officer, Skill Council for the Mining Sector. Mr. Sharma is in a bit of a hurry, as we were told. So over to you, Mr. Sharma. Stage is all yours.
Thank you, Sarora. Will allow me to share my screen?
Niranjan.
Yes, sir. Kindly over, sir. I am just pointing you, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
He has given you the access.
Just
Yeah, visible
Yes,
now.
sir. It is visible, sir.
It's visible now.
Yeah, very good morning and good afternoon to ladies and gentlemen. And I'm privileged to be, the opening batsman for this today's session. So let me justify my 10 to 12 minutes in speaking, sharing my thoughts on this mining scaling. Yes, the mining sector came into existence in December 2013. Basically, we are a registered company under Section 8 of Companies Act and promoted by Federation of Indian Mineral Industries and supported by Ministry of Mines. Ours is a apex body to train and meet the requirement of skilled workforce pan-India under the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. We are authorized non-statutory agency for certifying the mining workforce in India by Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. We are also authorized to undertake various programs, skilling programs through CSR fund. We functions through two arms, Galaxy of 22 training partners, having at 78 trainers and master trainers, and 9 assessment agencies, having 743 assessors and master assessors. Since its inception until last financial year, we have trained around 185,000 plus candidates, and out of which around 80% are certified. This is the governing board of members. I'm happy and welcome Dr. Nand also, who has been our ex-chairman of Skill Council Mining Sector and one of the panelists today. So we have drawn all the experts from all big companies, whether Nalco, Vedanta, Qualcomm, Adani, ACC, Tata Steel, Coal India, and we do have a participation from NSGC, which is called National Skill Development Corporation, and government representative, Mr. Alok Chandra, Mr. Animesh Bharti. So we have all the learned people, all the senior people are here as a torchbearer to us. They keep on guiding us in our various skilling program, looking to their mining requirement. These are our key partners with whom we have undertaken various scaling program and assessment programs, and journey is continuing. And despite this lockdown and whatever this COVID pandemic, our scaling has not stopped. It is going on at every nook and corner of the country. So just a small case study. During lockdown, also we started one program through CSR fund at Northern Coalfield at Singrauli. You will glad to know that we have around 576 plus candidates undergoing training. This has around 23% of diversity also. The girls are also learning the art of being mine electrician or mine welder or HM mechanic. So the training is still going on. Because of recent lockdown, we are conducting theory through online classes, and then moment the lockdown gets revoked, we will start the practical sessions, and almost all the programs would be over by June, July this year. Let me just share you one of how our candidates speak, and I believe you will be able to listen his voice.
मेरा नाम आयुष पांडे है, मैं सिंगरौली से बिलोंग करता हूँ और मैं माइन वेल्डिंग बैचलर का छात्र हूँ। और मैं आपको बता दूं कि मैं पैट से बिलोंग करता हूँ। और मैंने जब यहाँ पे ट्रेनिंग ज्वाइन की तो मुझे जैसा कि बताया गया था कि ये ट्रेनिंग फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट है। इससे ये ट्रेनिंग करने में मुझे कोई असुविधा नहीं हो रही है, और यहाँ पे जो ट्रेनर्स हैं वो सपोर्टिव हैं, और यहाँ पे जो भी ट्रेनिंग हो रही है बहुत अच्छी तरीके से हो रही है। मैं भविष्य में क्या कर सकता हूँ, इसके लिए एससीएम को
learning and
अपने कैरियर को बहुत ज्यादा ब्राइट कर सकते हैं, अपने फ्यूचर को आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं एज अ टेक्निकल फील्ड में सिखाए जाने वाली हर एक चीज के द्वारा हम अपने फ्यूचर को ब्राइट कर सकते हैं, अपनी फैमिली को सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं। इसलिए मैंने ट्रेनिंग सेंटर एज सीमस को ज्वाइन किया।
So I hope you could listen the voice of the trainees live from our training center from Singrauli. So girls are now coming up. First time I've seen the participation of diversity to learn whatever skill available. Everybody wants to be self-dependent. So India is rising. The people are very, very enlightened and moving forward. Just a small study which we carried out to skill gap analysis. As a skill council, we do carry out number one, how to find out the gap of the existing skills, and then we provide them then the solution through training. This is one of the skill gap analysis we carried out a very major power generation company, and this was to understand their welding welding skill. So there were a team of around 11 development employees and 54 contractor staff. You will see that this is just one slide I'm showing masking the identity of our client. So this speaks where do they stand in terms of our national occupational standards on few parameters: health, safety, and how to prepare machine and auxiliaries activities and process of equipment requirement and how do they carry out the task. So still you will find that there is a huge gap even in permanent levels in respect of safety and health, and also ensuring completion of post operations activities like inspection. They are hardly 48%, and same is the graph at the contractual staff also. So I mean, we are a body to certify, to assess, and to reach to the individual people. Help the employee to know who are the dead wood in the organizations who are not performing, how we can upskill them, how we can give them chance to progress either in the same line or the change line. So this is one of the example I just wanted to share with you. And then last couple of months ago, we carried out a human resource study, skill gap analysis through PricewaterhouseCoopers PwC, and which speaks that until 2018-19 we had the employment of around 11.7 million manpower. And if you look forward for the next till 2025, they have projected the requirement around 0.27 billion in the mining discipline, and that is into the core mining discipline. There may be a huge requirement of the people in the auxiliary services and the surrounding community that I'm not counting right now. But these are the core mining people who are required in the coming years in our all the mining locations. I just taken a reduced time constant, one slide only just to show the where are we and where we need to head. And now again, respecting time, I will just close with how we can collaborate with the and how we can help out or both the government to look forward. So yes, SCMS will look forward for enhancing additional corporation packs which are transnational standards. Because we do have around 42 corporation packs basically related to all blue collar jobs, but we can expand the list as per the requirement of the Australian government. Then can we look into for the international certification of our SCMS trainers? I told you during first slide we have a good number of trainers. So can we upgrade their knowledge with the partnering with the Australian government? That what kind of further knowledge they acquire, so that they can also develop the Indian talents at par with Australian requirement. Number 3, can we work out a system of skill transfers in key areas like frontline supervisors, underground mining, exploratory and drilling, etc. Can we also partner or look into the international placement of people certified through a skill council mining sector? Let me tell you, we are developing so many local people affected by the project and the land users of mining locations. And we are supposed to at least place around 70% of the population in that either same industry or adjoining industries. few people are interested to migrate even outside their own comfort zone states. So we can pick up the best people to go migrate, fly out of India, and to have a better learning, a better operation, technology they can get it. So we should explore those kind of things also. And can we be provided the experts carry out online skill gap analysis for select trades pain areas to have enhancing productivity? Like I shared one slide for the one of the power sector. We carried out with our internal resources, whatever we have, Indian people or the trainers. Can we also have some more high-skilled trainer experts from Australia who can join hands with us, and we carry out such skilling program, and then we spread a larger training program pan-India. We will certainly look forward for the guidance and technical know-how in setting and upskilling surrounding community. Let me tell you, we have enough fund in the Indian government. We must have heard about the District Mineral Foundation. We have around 40,000 crore collection in this one, out of which only 50% spent so far. And if we speak about the skilling, we still have around 900 crore earmarked for the scaling the project. Even out of this, only 45% is spent. So fund is not an issue as of now. We just need the trained people, the good technology, good mobility, good people who can come and set up the training center, and we call the people, train them, and we can assure them employment either locally or globally. That's what we look forward. Now the computer technologies has spread its wings like anything. AR, VR, we have so far seen in the gaming system only. Somewhere it has started picking up, developing the module for learning the skills through AR, VR. And the capex, the simulator cost is very heavy in India. So can we partner with some of the known agencies in Australia who can partner with us to create the learning tools through AR, VR, like how to operate dumper, how to operate the machines, how to operate the blast furnace? Can we look out the more heavy capex item or riskier areas to understand and to train them through this headgears using AR, VR technology? And of course, though we may have our own funds, can we still have some understanding that some of the partners from Australian company can collaborate with us in setting up a global center of excellence? I will name it. Can we have a global mining skilling university, which create not only to India but entire global? It can cover the white collar jobs as well as the blue collar jobs, and we become the hub for supplying manpower to the various countries in the mining related functions. And yes, of course, unless we visit, we do benchmark visit, or we send some people from different mining locations to the other countries, we not understand where are we. Are we best? Can we be better? Can we be best? So we need to have some understanding, some program, whether half-yearly or quarterly, where we pull some good people, the good people from mining industries in different communities, different categories. A small batch of 10 people, 15 people. Can we organize a visit to Australian mining industries, where not only they see the mining process, but they also pick up one or two good skills or attributes during that kind of scaling system. That's what I could pen down some of the thoughts, how we can collaborate and support Australian government. And I think that's what the last slide from me. Looking to the time constraints, I can stick there for next 5 or 10 minutes, no issues, and I'll be glad to respond any questions or any guidance. Thanks a lot for listening.
Thank you, Sanjay. I think it was a very good presentation by you, because it was also a surprise for me to know that the way you are trying to skill the existing manpower in a place like Singrauli. I think it's a great job which you've done, and the people who seem to have got the training seem to be very proud of the fact that they've gone through this kind of a training. But I thought we would need more such centers in India. Singrauli NCL is only one part. There could be other 100. There are 5 or 6 other coal companies, and everywhere I'm sure there's a need to have people, and there would be a requirement for more such centers to be opened. Since you have resources, the financial and the manpower, why not open it at more different at different places also? The suggestion of Global Mining Manpower University. I think it's a great idea, and once we take it forward, then probably we could be the supplier. We have enough number of manpower. We could be the supplier to wherever there's a need for such people. And after all, mining is being practiced all over the world. It's not only coal, but also the number of minerals. So all this is going to be a part of the curriculum, which I'm sure you are teaching. It's very unfortunate that you have to leave. These Australian companies would love to join hand with you to provide these kind of skills. But I'm sure this session is being recorded, and they would like to come and tell you that there are many opportunities which they would like to take advantage of, and then maybe over a period of time that can be forwarded to you, the recorded version. So thank you very much. And it's also because I'm sure there are going to be a lot of questions, but you are not here for a very long time. So you said you have to go. Doesn't matter. So we will definitely like to catch up with you at some other time. So thank you very much. Thank you.
So thanks a lot. I will just see if I can reschedule my meeting. I'll again text you. Let me continue if I have. No, so thanks a lot for giving chance. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you. So we will now have the pleasure to invite Mr. Stephen Boxall, General Manager, Resource Center of Excellence. Mr. Stephen Boxall, wherever you are, would you please?
I would just like to add here, just to all the attendees. So please type your questions in the chat box so that the eminent speakers can discuss on those later on. So during the session, please type these questions. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Boxall, over to you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, now we see you.
Yes, you got me clearly.
Yes.
I was hoping to share my screen for my presentation.
Yes, sir, you can share, sir.
Yeah, I'm just not able to activate the share screen, that's all.
Do you access Mr. Boxall?
Sorry?
Yeah, he has given you the presentation right, Mike. So can you see?
Yeah, it just won't give me permission to share my screen, that's all. Anyway, I'll start talking and see if I can get it fixed. So thank you very much for inviting the Resources Centre of Excellence to be involved in this panel discussion today. Just to give you a little bit of background, we're a unique collaboration between all levels of government in Australia and also industry. We're located in the central Queensland area, so adjacent to the Bowen Basin and the Galilee Basin. And I suppose our mission is around connecting excellence with the resources sector. So we're very much about connecting the brightest minds in research, technology and education to really set a new standard for the future. And our key goal is to really be recognised as a hub of higher thinking so that we can really move with the industry as it changes. I'm really thrilled to be involved today because we've got a number of strategic pillars we operate by, and one of those is connecting our region and the work that we're doing with the world. And that's certainly something over the last 6 to 12 months with COVID that we've really been restricted from being able to do. So I see today as a great opportunity to share some of the work that we're doing and to certainly look for ways that we can collaborate with resource businesses in India. So I'm just going to see if I can share my screen because I was hoping to walk you through our facility and also show some of the work that we've been undertaking. So we are a $10 million investment that provides a state-of-the-art simulated underground mining environment that features the latest technology and can be used for training, product testing, research and product demonstration. So just picking up on the previous speaker, we've already had a number of different activities happening where we've been able to upskill people with the latest technology around using drones for mapping, and certainly AR and VR is a big part of our facility. And I suppose that's the major interest that I have, is that we can certainly use the facilities that we've developed in Australia to connect expertise via our bespoke AR and VR system to deliver training to people in India. So we've really made major advancements with the Queensland University of Technology. So we've developed a VR system that would enable someone in, for example, India, to dial in and undertake a safety or maintenance exercise alongside someone in Brisbane or Perth using our technology and facilities here. So it's a real step forward. And again, I know the previous speaker spoke about limitations with AR and VR. We've partnered with the university to deliver a AR and VR platform that can be used right across Australia and right around the world, and also have multiple people undertaking activities at once. So, so it's a real step forward in terms of what we've been able to deliver out of the Resource Centre of Excellence. The other thing I'd like to say about our facility is that we're an organisation that is here for everyone. So we're not aligned with any one training organisation or any one provider. So it's about being able to utilise our facilities to match the best training providers or the best technology innovation with people all over the world. So as I mentioned, we've got a number of activities that have already been happening in our facility here in Mackay, but we've got over $2 million of fully operational live safety, communication equipment, operating mining vehicles. We've also got a fully operational conveyor system that replicates the true operation of an underground coal mining environment. So I'd certainly encourage you to have a look at our website, which is simply www.rcoe.com.au, and it allows you to do a full 3D walkthrough of our facilities, which is what I hope to have shared with you today on the screen live, but I'm happy for you to do that independently. And you can explore our facilities and consider how you may be able to tap into what we have here. But certainly we've had a very fast start. As I say, we only become operational 6 months ago, and our facility's been operating at capacity for the last couple of months. So the uptake by industry has been extremely positive. And we're also looking at future stages. So we're looking at also doing work in the mineral processing stage and building a pilot mineral processing facility that can be used for training, research and development, and potentially also can be used to process rare earth elements. So, so I suppose we're really looking to tap into a whole range of different industries. And the other thing that we're looking at doing is really having a facility where the future jobs in mining around automation and robotics, people can be trained at our facility using the latest technology. So that's really a bit of a snapshot of the facility that we've got and the work that we're undertaking. You know, I would love to explore opportunities with companies in India, particularly in the situation we are at the moment with, you know, COVID restricting travel. There's certainly ways that we can explore via our AR and VR system the further development of training capabilities. And then that, you know, is obviously the first step of what may then become regular delegations of people coming from India to use our facility and having access to some of the world's best technology and trainers and systems to really, I suppose, help fast track and upskill Indian resource companies. So That's pretty much an overview of what we're doing at the Resources Centre of Excellence. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to share my screen, but as I mentioned earlier, if you go onto our rcoe.com.au website, not only can you do a full 3D self-guided walk through our facility, you can have a look under our RCOE news section and watch a number of stories about the work and the activities that have been happening at our facility. So thank you very much for letting us showcase some of the work that we're doing, and certainly would like to continue the conversation. And if anyone would like to reach out to me individually, I'm happy to have a further conversation.
Yes, thank you, Stephen. That was, I think, a very good presentation. We are sorry that we couldn't help you with the slides, and that would have been perhaps more interesting. But as of now, whatever you said was quite interesting for us. Now, you said you have the simulators and technology for underground mining. Is that only for underground mining, or is it for underground and open cast both?
No, so our stage one is simply for underground mining, and we are looking in our future stages to move into also open cut technology, and particularly in that automation space.
Right. So I would think that perhaps the person for you to get in touch would be Mr. Sanjay Sharma, the earlier speaker. I think he was looking for somebody because it's difficult to get people to train in underground. There are plenty of people available for open cast, but not really for underground. But never mind. I think it was good. And if you can pass on your slides to the Indian Chamber, then they'll probably have it circulated to the people later on, which
yes,
we missed right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now we will go on to the next speaker, Mrs. Usha Singh. She is Director HR MOIL. MOIL means Manganese Ore of India Limited. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
you're right,
So
sir.
it's very good to see the ladies coming into mining, and that too, heading the HR functions in a company which is purely into mining. Welcome, and we would like to hear from you. Over to you, Usha ji.
Thank you very much, sir. Respected Mr. Arora, Mr. Thomas, a special mention for Dr. Nanda here, who has been my boss a few years back, and all my esteemed co-panelists, and all my dear friends who are connected to us through this WebEx. A huge congratulations to ICC and Austria for organizing this WebEx, which is on a theme which is of great national significance. Australia, we have heard that Australia has set very high standards of mining across the world. So much so, that mining means Australia. That is the standard everywhere. And for India also, mining is a sunrise sector. There is a lot of thrust of the government to scale up mining operations in India. So this thing is of great national significance for both Australia and India. And when they come together, it's going to be a big win-win for the entire industry across the world. To start with, I would like to give a snapshot of where we stand, the mining sector of India stands, and how it has performed in the last few years. So we all know, we have heard from Mr. Arora and other speakers also, that the geological environment of India is something which is comparable to Australia, South Africa, and other leading global mining nations across the world. And India is very rich in mineral resources. But the fact is that the contribution to GDP of the mining sector in India has been less than 2%, and the growth in the last few decades or so has also been nominal, which is much below the potential. And there are huge challenges which actually has led to underperformance of this sector in the country, which like some of them are the regulatory delays, the lack of coordination between different stakeholders, or even the lack of infrastructure for the last connectivity, last mileage connectivity, and so on so forth. But things are certainly looking up. And in the last 5 years, our government has come up with 2 MMDR, the Mineral Act, what determines how we function, how the mining sector functions in the country. There are 2 major amendments, and the recent amendment has come in this year itself, 2021, and the government seems to be determined to have faster growth in the industry, and thus this conference also cannot come more timely when the entire government machinery and all industry has to actually invest for higher growth in the sector. And this sector is also very important for India as far as employment generation is concerned. So in terms of data also, if you look at the employment in elasticity, the kind of job which can be generated per % of GDP growth, you will find that mining is just after construction, and the second is real estate and finance. So this is of great national significance for a country even as populous as India, because it can generate a lot of employment. And certainly it leads to national growth. And the data in this respect is also that the 1% incremental growth in mining means 1.2 to 1.4% incremental growth in industrial production. And we can very well imagine, we know the linkage that mining is the mother industry, the industry which is the backbone of manufacturing sector, be it the supply of steel or cement or power or smartphones or TVs, wherever. Whatever is leading to better quality of life, all that has to emanate from mining. So in this context, we have to look into how we can skill our workforce, which will catapult the industry and catapult the economy of the nation, which is the need of the hour, which is a need of the hour for the populous nation, and as well as for the national economy to grow. So, Mr. Sharma, when he was presenting the SCMS presentation, so he talked of 11.7 million people employed in the sector and the huge potential. We see that which can there's so much of jobs which will be generated in the induced and the ancillary units also. FIMI puts it as like, if you generate 5 million jobs in the mining sector, it's going to be 50 million jobs in the associated industries. This kind of potential is there, but there are challenges and at the same time opportunities for skilling our manforce and generating this employment opportunity in the country. And I would like to put it as 3-4 points, which totally will sum it up, in the sense like, number one, if we see that once we have the engineering graduates, the white collar job people who will enter the industry as the managers. So we have the top-notch educational institutes, the premier engineering institutes, who are producing very good mining engineers. But the challenge here is the attractiveness of the mining industry in the country. Somehow a large number from these also are shifting to other sectors, which provide maybe better working conditions or more comfortable life. And here Australia can be a very big model. When Mr. White was sharing about Australia, he said 10% of the job in Australia is employability is in mining sector, and the kind of the facilities, the fly in and fly out and extra facilities which are provided by Australia sets a benchmark for other countries that how we can enhance the attractiveness of the mining sector. And after this, the one sector we talked of engineering graduates, and the second one is the blue collar jobs, the ITIs, or even the school dropouts, people who join the mining industry in India. And here, even though SCMS is doing a good job and is trying to scale up a lot, but the situation is that we have a very limited number of ITI courses of mining industry which is available. And Mr. Arora also said that even in the coal sector, Singrauli is one place, but we can have a lot of these sectors is required in other places. Similarly, I would say that a lot of new courses have to be designed, and who better than Australia to help us design better course curriculum and even it enhance the employability of the sector. And all this, we can never find a better partner than Australia to guide us in this area also. And then there are other challenges also. Mr. Arora he said he was happy to see me as a women director on the mining company board. Yeah, it is rarest of the rare for sure. And if you look at the data of the total workforce, women workforce working in the mining sector, it's less than 4% in India. And so if you compare it with even manufacturing is 11% plus. So you can imagine if we leave the 50% of the population of the country who would not work for this industry, we cannot see our the skilling what we require. We'll be losing out on the opportunity what we have in the country. And here I would also like to mention this one model about the skilling. I would like to mention from the telecom sector. In telecom sector, it was seen that when all these important players came together and they helped in designing course curriculum for which produced the raw material, the skilled workforce for this sector to grow, and it really helped the industry. Similarly, I would think that in mining also, if the players come together and set up such benchmark institutes and introduce some courses which would be a huge win-win for the industry as well as for the people who would take this opportunity. So the sector has a lot of potential, and we have to make all concerted efforts to make it a more aspirational sector, improve the industry academia collaboration, improve the job training opportunities, improve lab facilities in colleges, in ITIs, and huge potential for developing more courses for which we get ready material, ready workforce for the industry. And towards the end, I would only like to say that just like cricket is when India and Australia they come together, and we see the fiercest of battle, but ultimately who is the winner, and that is the cricket match. So similarly, I think mining industry is another field in which when India and Australia will come together, we have the workforce. Australia has the latest technology. They have set standards of large-scale scientific mining. So when these two teams come together, all we can see is only growth and more of prosperity and availability of the entire larger quantity of this raw materials available for better life of the entire mankind across the world. And lastly, I would like to say that with the growing cooperation of with what we are seeing between the governments of India and Australia, the geopolitical conditions which are getting more and more favorable, with India and Australia being such active partners of Quad, and then collaborating in the greater economic growth of the world, such large democracies, they share common values. So all that put together sets a very good platform for this Austrade and Indian mining sector relationship to grow. All the best for that. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Usha ji. I think you have been very lucid and articulate in whatever you have presented before us. And I think it was very interesting for me to listen to a lady HR director coming into mining and doing so well. But the word that you used were that mining is the mother industry. Yes, you're right. Mining is the mother industry. If we can provide the minerals, we can provide the coal, then it is going to be used in bauxite, it is going to be used in steel, it is going to be used in a lot of other industries, generating employment for the people. Definitely, it is going to be, and the daughter industries are going to be very happy receiving all that additional output. Yes, you are right. Job in mining are not the preferred job for the engineers as of today. During our time, I'm a mining engineer myself. During our time, we were very happy to come here because it gave us the best money, at that time. But now the better money is being paid by the white collar jobs. If you're working with computers, perhaps you are much better off. And a lot of people don't want to dirty their hands like we used to do. So that's something which is something new. But I think there is still a section of people who would still like to come and make a career in mining. And I'm also happy to see that, probably you must have championed this. Now women are allowed to go into underground mining. During our time, they were not allowed to do so. But now they have broken that barrier and they are going there. And a lot of women are probably being trained to work as machine operators and a lot of heavy earth moving equipment, and they're doing very well. So it's a new opening which has come in. So thank you very much, Usha ji, for very, very good presentation. I liked it really. So with these words, we will now go on to the next speaker. Another lady from Australia, Jenny Herzig. Are you there, Jenny? Can you please present yourself?
Yes, can you see and hear me?
We can hear you, but we can't. Yeah, now, yes, we can. Yeah. Okay. Jenny is a director and former president at IMM, director at Base Resources, and convener of MetPlant Conference Series. So all this is Dutch for us. Would you please explain what is all this? And yeah, we look forward to have your whatever you would like to present to us. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arora. I can't seem to be able to share my screen either, so the button is not working there. So I will just talk, and we can perhaps share that after the fact. So firstly, I'd like to just thank everybody for the invitation today. It was just over 1 year. 1 year and 1 month ago that I was in India, and was hoping that it would have been the first of many trips in the last 12 months, which was not to be. However, we have not let that stop our relationship continue to grow between our two countries and our organisations. So if I start firstly with myself, I'm a metallurgical engineer and have been in the industry for 30 years. So it's been a while, but agree it's taking some time to certainly to reach parity. I think in Australia at the moment, we're about 15% of the workforce females in the mining sector, but we can certainly do better with that. So today I'm going to talk about the AusIMM. The AusIMM is the Australasian Institute of Mining and Metallurgy, and we are the peak body for professionals in the resources sector. Despite the name Australasian, we are a global organisation with about 25% of our members, about 4,000 people who are living outside of Australasia. So very much a global organisation. We were founded in 1893 and operate under a royal charter, so 128 years of operation. And we primarily exist to support our members to build their careers in the resources sector and to uphold professional standards. So we are in about 100 countries across the globe and represent all professions, so geologists, geoscientists, engineering, mining, geotechnical, metallurgists like myself, but also community and environment, health and safety, legal and finance, HR, so a wide range of professionals who work in the sector. So primarily we are focused on knowledge sharing, on recognition and on codes and standards, but also connecting people globally and collaborating with industries, with universities and with government. So very fitting that the topic of today's webinar, because that's what we're all about at the AusIMM. And for us, it's really about providing that lifelong learning. So we support people through their careers from being students at university right through to after they retire. And it's we offer, you know, some different opportunities for people in areas like micro-credentialing to sort of fill that gap between what might be their formal university education or other postgraduate education, and actually continuing to develop their skills through professional development all the way through their careers. So we're really focused on making sure that our professionals are industry ready and that they are upholding the very highest standards of technical excellence. So in order to address some of the needs that we saw, some of the gaps in with universities and some difficulty that they are having in, you know, sort of getting enough content into their courses and indeed attracting enough students into their courses, is for us to sort of partner alongside the universities. So we started, I guess our historically, we focused on conferences, on technical presentations, on various courses, but we've really now strengthened that component of coursework and training. So, and particularly now in that online space. So we started to go digital with our training a couple of years ago, but we've really ramped that up in the last 1 or 2 years. So just by way of a bit of background, hopefully everyone on the call knows what the JORC code is, the code for the reporting of exploration results, mineral resources and ore reserves. So AusIMM is actually the custodian of the JORC code. So as such, we were very interested in developing people's knowledge in the area of the JORC code to assist them in their jobs and to assist them in their quest to become competent persons and to be able to sign off on the various JORC and publicly listed reports. So we started with an online course in JORC code reporting, which was a professional certificate, which we launched in 2018, which has the benefit of being flexible learning for everybody. It has input from industry, very heavy, very strong input from industry, and from our professional communities that exist within the AusIMM. So they are our Metallurgical Society, our Geological Society, our Mining Society, and so on. So we've now run 7 of those courses, and we've had about 600 participants so far. And 50% of those participants have been outside Australia. The feedback that we've had from the courses has been very strong. 95% of participants would recommend the course, And we do a bit of a capability comparison before and after completing the course, and we're finding that people's understanding of their obligations are very much higher at the end of that course. So we've now expanded our online course offering, and we actually developed our own learning management system, which has allowed us a lot more flexibility to deliver the content. So all of the content is curated and peer reviewed by our experts and by leaders and subject matter experts. They're all very much focused on the future, so on technical best practice and building a competent and capable workforce for today and the future. And they are very much aligned with industry. So we develop them in partnership with industry to make sure that they're very practical and address the capability development needs of mining companies. So some of the other courses that we have been involved with, apart from the JORC course, we have sort of 4 main categories of online learning. The professional certificate, which is the most intensive. Then we also have short courses, digital masterclasses, and on-demand courses. So they do have a different level of commitment and come with different levels of assessment as well. So the primary ones that we're offering at the moment, in addition to the JORC, is the professional certificate in tailings management, which has been very, very popular. And the 3rd intake of that is starting very soon. I actually participated in that myself and got my certificate in that and found it really, really worthwhile. And some of the others are around ESG, so environment, social governance, and social responsibility, which is an area that's been expanding very rapidly within the AusIMM. And we now actually offer accreditation chartered professional status for social practitioners. We're also looking at we're running courses on the Valmin Code, on cost estimation, on mining technology, on health and safety, on materials handling, field to cloud, and tailings management for executives. And our next cab off the rank will be a Mining 101 course, which will offer the fundamentals of mining, mineral processing and geology for non-geologists, if you like, so non-traditional disciplines. So I think I'll, in the interest of time, probably pull it up there. There's much more that I could say, but really just to leave you with the thought that the AusIMM is here to globally raise standards, and we're very happy to collaborate. We're very, very proud of our partnerships to date with India. We signed an MOU last year when I was in India with the IIT ISM. And hope that we can continue to do more work in the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jenny, and was very happy to know that you have already signed an MOU with IIT ISM. That's the place from where I graduated.
Oh, fantastic.
Almost 60 years ago. 60 years ago. So, but it's a very vibrant institute now, and there's a lot which is happening there. And I'm sure they're going to be, they're going to be using whatever information and technology which you are going to be providing in furthering, the technology, the pool bank which they have with them, I'm sure. And they have very enthusiastic set of professors, the teachers and the students. And I think the future is pretty bright for these people. Although today the mineral sector is not the main priority for them, they also have other courses like computer, electrical, mechanical, and others. But mining is, whenever we think of mining and minerals, ISM is the place where we think of, So, but I'm sure you have, a lot of potential for these institutes to tie up with you. IIT ISM is one of them, but there could be many more who would like to take advantage of these courses. And I'm sure many people in the audience would like to do that. So thank you very much. It was very interesting. And
Fantastic.
now, thank you. And I would like to go on to Mr. N.K. Nanda, former Director Technical NMDC. The NMDC is the National Mineral Development Corporation. Mr. Nanda is a well-known figure in the mining field here. He was also the president of Mining Geological and Mineral Society some time back. And these days, because of the COVID, we only see him in the webinars. Otherwise, we used to see him quite often in Calcutta. So, Mr. Dr. Nanda, now, would you please take over from here?
Thank you, Mr. Arora.
Yeah, you are fortunate that you are able to show your slides.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And I am audible, I suppose. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, very much.
Okay.
Please carry on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arora, for giving me this opportunity. And also thank you, Indian Chambers of Commerce, for organizing such a interesting webinar during these hard times. In fact, I am very happy to see my old colleagues, Usha and Mr. Sanjay Sharma. Though I was also the chairman of Skill Council of mining sector for 2 years, but at that time, Mr. Sanjay Sharma was not with me, but after that he joined, and I am finding a lot of improvement and a lot of new steps has been taken by SCMS. That's a nice improvement. And Ms. Usha, who has been with me, and now she is doing wonderful work in Manganese Ore India Limited. I'm very happy to see both of them. And also, the subject is Australia-India Mining Skills Partnership Forum. Next slide, please. So this, I was also fortunate to be there in Australia for some time, being the chairman of a Australia-based junior exploration company called Legacy Iron Ore at Perth. I have been there for more than 5 years, and I understand the skill level of mining community there in Australia. And presently, I am also been associated with skill development, being the member in Sectoral Trade Curriculum Committee of Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. There, our role is to create syllabus and the new trade for the targeted students or targeted candidates in the mining area. So recently, we have created a multi-skilling trade in CTS. Next slide. So the landscape of skill, in India, the country is so big and there is so populated. There is need of skill development, and India has resulted in a fast evolving landscape by the policy reform called Skill India. India adds more than 10 million people to its workforce every year. There are more than 700 million people in the working group of 15 to 59. Next slide. Actually, if you see that looking at this background, the national policy and skill development has been taken up from 2015, and it has identified global partnership. Now we are discussing today about the global partnership, and more particularly with Australia. And this has been already taken up from 2015, because it is a real good driver to energize the skill ecosystem. Next slide. What are the concepts for a core skilling? I have targeted, I have chalked out about 7 core skills, which is identified to be taken forward in skill ecosystem. That is digital competency, critical thinking, problem solving, creativity and leadership, collaboration, communication, and commercial literacy. In fact, today's situation, the digital competency for the Indian mining community is much more apt and much more in the focus. Next slide. All these core skills are a part of the 4 quadrant of skill ecosystem. Why you are skilling people only to engage them in some work? That means employability, occupational and technical skill, enterprise creativity thinking, and commercial leadership and literacy, and digital competency. Why I would like to say the occupational and technical skill is much more in the forefront while making collaboration with different universities, different platforms. Next. What actually happened in India is after 2009, there came a number of initiatives like formation of NSDC. After the formation of NSDC, the qualification, skill qualification framework with NSQF and different levels has been formed, and each level has been defined what are the skills to be imparted to the targeted student candidate. And SCMS, I think during the presentation of Mr. Sanjay Sharma, he was given the list of NSQF level 1 to level 5. Today, which I was earlier telling, that the multi-skilling trade we are introducing in the NSQF level 4. Our aim is to, by 2022, in India, 500 million people is to be trained in different skills. Next slide. So this is a huge paradigm shift in the eyes of government, that the skill improvement is a must for India. India's 62% of population is in the working age group. So you can say that India is a very young country. It is estimated that the average age of population in India is 2020, and about by 2020 was 29, where the other country is 45. That means the population itself is young and eager to work. This presents a background for global partnership. That means considering the limited resources which are available, and the global partnership is also very much welcome in skilling sector. Next. And it is also estimated that 110 million additional skills individuals will be required across 22 key sectors by 2025. There is a list of key sectors. I think SCMS has made it. Manufacturing will roughly contribute towards half of these additional skills. Mining has been identified as one of the high growth sector out of these 22 key areas. Next slide. So in this background, giving this the landscape which I have presented, what is the role of industry bodies? The industry bodies naming ICC, CII, FICCI, ASSOCHAM, FIMI, and our own Mining Engineer Association of India, MGMI, play an active role in the delivery of skill training, which includes promoting sector skill councils, acting as assessing bodies, or imparting direct training. You can say, I know that MGMI sometime back has taken up a short course study among the in the coal sector. That means they have targeted executives, and they have trained them in a particular subject like environment or in a coal technology. So that is becoming gradually, that will be a role for the industry bodies is coming much more. Next slide. The initiative by Australia-India Mining Skills Partnership Forum in association with ICC, exploring the opportunity in the field of skills and training for mining sector, present excellent platform for unfolding the potential synergy between two countries, which we have already seen, and we have already heard the earlier speakers, what synergy can be envisaged between these two countries. Next slide. So if you see, if I assess and if I think of what the areas where the India and Australia, both are mining countries, and both are aspiring to be leading the mining arena. Though Australia is way ahead of India in technology, India's GDP is expected to continue for the next decade because of the urbanization, the economic development. There will be a lot of infrastructure growth and industrial activity and scale of consumption because of its buying capacity. Next. Skill development landscape, in what I set up in the previous slides, you can say Australia can play a significant role as a resource supplier, as an enabler to modernize Indian mining sector with technology and efficient solutions. the area where the India and Australia can work together for skilling Indian force, I'll be highlighting in the next slide. Thank you. Next slide. So what are the target area for skill development in mining? Both the countries can be associated in these areas like education and training, core activities of mining, safety and environment management, research and development. Each area is important on its own. I will give little background and detailed expansion of this. Next slide. So education and training is the foremost because there needs a lot of people to be skilled, because there exists need of additional manpower with different skills. The approach of recognizing the prior learning and putting this target group under training by utilizing the scope available as vocational education training. As you have heard that CMS is taking care of preparing qualification parts and taking and also recognizing the prior learning and giving them certificates so that the transportability of the skill category from one place to another is possible. And the generation shift, what I like to say that vocational education training need to educate existing force to the new world development work through innovative training, retraining, and important for smooth transition from new types of tasks. Because next slide. Whenever the technology changes, next slide. Whenever the technology changes, it needs new job training, and that is an area where we have to work. Because for efficient operation of new equipment or efficient equipment of the system, we need retraining and reskilling all the time. And two other aspects I would like to say that the very nature of careers in changing with job, the career hopping is also emerging. Because like Usha was telling that people will be getting mining degree, but they will be like to joining some other place because of the situation in mining. But that means it needs a lot of job changing, but without any skilling, it is very difficult. So this is an area where we can work. We can hold on to the mining engineers by keeping them a new level of working in the mine, or they should be trained so that they can change to different allied associated area of the mining. It is attracting individual to acquire new transferable skill so that the transition from one role to other is smoothly possible. Sometimes people are taking to management also, going from engineer post to management post in the same organization. And the technological shift, I would like to say that to deliver functional skill that allow people, organization to embrace new technological opportunities and facilitate dynamic learning from the life cycle to ensure that people keep pace with the technical progress and the change. This is the area where I think India and Australia, because of the Australian education system, Australian universities, and they are more technically way ahead from India. So there is a lot of synergy in this. Next slide. So there will be an increased requirement of mining engineers, geologists, skilled and semi-skilled workers. The shortage of manpower in the sector can be addressed by increasing capacity in educational institutions and partnering with industry by in Australian METS, that is mining and equipment technical service companies, which are already in Australia. They can they are welcome, and they can take up the skilling the Indian workforce because they are having their operation, they are having their office. And one such example for
Will you unmute yourself, please? Dr. Nanda, you have gone mute. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Please unmute yourself.
The mining can be broadly categorized in across the subsectors, and each subsector is itself requires huge skill manpower. What are the subsectors? The prospecting, exploration and mine planning, mine operation, engineering service, and mineral processing. You know that all these areas are quite improved in Australia, and India lacks a lot of technology backup in exploration, and India has not yet completed its exploration from whole country by aeromagnetic survey, and which we can use the Australian capability to complete that. And in mine operation, you say the digitalization is very in the lowest level. And when you go to Australia, you find that the digitalization is across the mining sector. And even in, I have seen that the Rio Tinto mines are being operated from Perth Operation Center, where we are not yet set up such a distant operating system in India. And engineering service and mineral processing. I must say that mineral processing, where it is the backbone of mineral conservation, and there also we need a lot of input from Australian universities and Australian companies. And while in NMDC, we have tied up with CISRO for dry beneficiation. Instead of using water, we use air, and that also gives impetus to sustainability. Next slide. So safety and environment management is also another area where we can learn many things from Australian setup. Considering the robust system developed in Australia in the area of safety and environment, the application of this knowledge in Indian mines is very well acceptable by stakeholders. And I have pointed out that one MOU has been signed between Queensland and DGMS, which is an example of the initiative which has been taken up to improve the skill development canvas. Next slide. Next slide. So research and development is also another area where mining today is only contributing about 1.5% to the GDP. And if we really aspire to more contribution from mining sector, and we have to fund research and in research in India, research in India in mining is in low level. And all the areas where we can do is digitization, automation, mineral conservation, efficient operation, and in many places. And like I have already pointed out, I had said that CSIRO is an organization, institution in Brisbane, who is very, very highly qualified in mineral beneficiation relating to mining, and they are in other areas also. And in India, we have started a project at NMDC, and I understand they have major projects with the Minister of Steel also. Next. Next slide. So what is the way forward? With this, I will like to say that with new technology making their way in the Indian mining sector, building skilled workforce equipped with expected technology advancement such as real-time data analysis, use of software packages for mine optimization, and in mineral processing field, and many more in the field of exploration and mine operation will be the paramount importance. In this backdrop, the training programs need to focus on the skill sets compatible to the requirement. Next. Next slide. Next slide. So,
next slide.
Hello. Sector councils for skill development in mining and primary institutions can join hands to develop skilling courses relevant to newly adopted or introduced technologies and innovation in mining. So there are, I think, the sector skill council play a major role for the a group of sector of the mining population. And because since mining triggers a displacement of communities of adjoining areas, there lies a potential of having more young aspirants from the mining affected area, and they are ready to be upskilled and go for the work. Apart from domestic upskilling opportunity, there exists an overseas employment opportunity, which was earlier being discussed, that Mr. Sanjay Sharma was telling that there is a lot of requirement in Australia or any other country where the training can be given here and they can be migrating to work there. So that is what I also say, that there exists a overseas employment opportunity in mining sector. Skill councils have the role to take this initiative with training in association with training partners, even originating from the major mining countries like Australia. Next slide. So here I can say that what Australia, with its well-established vocational education training and coverage across multiple industry sector, including mining, can play a role. And there are a lot of organizations which are registered as a registered training organization who have substantial market opportunity to collaborate with Government of India agencies, including ITIs and other skill providers, mainly skill sector councils in India. So establishment of skill development institutes in mining, like what has happened in IIT ISM, and earlier also Mr. Boxall was telling about University of Queensland. They can also be associated, making an institution or institutional collaboration. And I would like to say that Mining Engineer Association has also collaborated with the University of Arizona. What we are trying to bring skills from the University of Arizona in mining sector, different 6-month certificate courses and long-term 2 years MTech courses, and that we will now give to our members. Similar in that will enable, that will skill up the executive grade of mining community in India, and we are also tying up with different universities like National Institute of Technology in India to skill the engineers and also to the workforce. So similarly, Australian universities like Monash University, which we are going to have Professor next speaker, and earlier also we had a tie-up with Monash University for in research area. So all this can be a win-win situation for both countries, and there is a lot of potential still remaining to be unlocked. So again thank you, Mr. Arora and Mr. Niranjan and ICC as a whole for an interesting webinar organizing and also giving me an opportunity. And I thank you all the Australian participants, including professors and the speakers. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Than you, because you have been the chairman of the Mining Skills Council. You have worked in Australia for a number of years, and you know exactly what needs to be done. Now, skill improvement is a must, and it is an ongoing exercise which has been going on for a number of years. But whenever I talk to the industrial people, you know, they always say that we could perhaps need much more numbers of these people who are going to be, you know, trained to take up the position in the mining field, mining and metallurgical field. So there's a lot to be done as of now, and this webinar is, I think, very contemporary, and it's the right time to have all the teams together to make sure that there is a program made for training the manpower in India. Okay, now I will pass on the baton to Professor Edward Buckingham, Director of Engagement, Monash Business School. Sorry, we are late in coming to you. We have overshot the program, but nevertheless, welcome to you, and please start your. You have to unmute yourself first of all.
I believe you should be able to hear me now, Mr. Veranda.
Yes, we are able to hear you now.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the comments as well, Mr. Veranda, because along with the other speakers, you've given me more than half a tank of petrol in terms of how much I can talk about today. You opened by describing how Australia had the resources and India ended up with the people in your opening statements. But I have to respond to this and ask you, where is the potential? Now, as you know, a resource endowment is static. It's what's in the ground. We discover it, but it's all already there. But human resources are dynamic. And as so many of the speakers have pointed out today, particularly my colleague Janine Herzig from the AusIMM, there is enormous potential to develop the human capital in India. Another remark that you made, which really got me going, was you said that young people, they're not interested in working in mining anymore because it's a dirty business. Well, I think we need to relook at this, and we need to ask ourselves where the problem is. I actually think that there's a huge future for Indian engineers and Indian professionals in general to get involved in the mining sector. What you're describing, Mr. Virender, is in fact a market failure, a human capital market failure, and I believe it will be temporary. And let me explain why. So if we look at this this challenge around mining in India as an organizational issue, we can perhaps draw on some figures that were raised by earlier speakers to sort of articulate where things stand. And we're going to use Australia as a benchmark, not because Australia's got it all worked out, but just sometimes when you step out of your comfort zone and you look over the fence at your neighbors, we are neighbors across the Indian Ocean, you can learn something new. And so I heard earlier the statement by Mr. Sanjay Sharma that 11 to 12 million people work in the mining sector in India. And I would add to that those are the people that have been counted. Those are the people that are in the formal sector. But unusually, Indian mining also has a very large informal sector. So in fact, those numbers might be slightly larger than that. It could be as much as 50% up. Don't quote me on that. I'm just suggesting that those figures could be bigger. Now, if you look at that figure, and let's just assume it's 12 million, yes, it's about 1% of the Indian population, slightly less, slightly more, slightly less, depending on how you add the figures up, but around 1%. And it's around 2% of GDP, one of the earlier speakers stated, and I checked online, and that was indeed right. Now, if you look at Australia, we have a population of, and I don't laugh, please, but we have a population of 25 million in the whole country. And we have about 250,000 people working in the mining sector. That's about 2% of our total workforce. This represents about 6% of our GDP. So if you've jotted those numbers down, you'll see that mining represents 3 times as much of our GDP as it does of yours. And can I say that the prospectivity of South Asia from a minerals perspective is excellent. There's nothing to complain about. You are extremely well endowed. Years ago, I worked for a period in Karachi for Pakistan Petroleum Limited, and they, same geology as you guys, very similar, and they were asking, could we help them go international? And we had a good look at what was going on, and then we had a good look at what the possibilities were in Pakistan, and we said, why go abroad? You've got so much to exploit within your own country. And the issues that they face, and again, having visited a few mining companies in India, are not that different to the challenges that you face. They are organizational issues that fundamentally lie with market failure around the channeling and the development of your human resources. One of the other themes that's come up today, and it comes up regularly when I'm in India talking with people, is we talk about the importance of creating employment. I want to challenge you all on this for a moment. I want you to actually stop for a minute and say, ask yourselves, do we really need more people working in Indian mining? And I'm going to argue, for the sake of an argument, that you don't. You don't need more people based on what we can see abroad. What you need are people in higher value-added roles. Now, one of the ways of drawing people into the industry is by paying them more. And then the question is, well, how do you pay for these people if you're going to pay for them more? Well, you could answer, we're going to sell our product at a higher price. And in a planned economy, you might do that. But those are the dark old days. That is not what this forum is about today. Really, what we've come to discuss, if we're worth our salt, is how do we raise productivity in Indian mining? That's why I'm here. I think that's why Janine's here. And I believe, Mr. Virender, that's why you're here. I believe all of us are intrinsically interested in how we make this industry work a lot better. And we know that it can operate better because, we've got the benchmark versus Australia, but also you have institutions like the Indian School of Mines, you have your other engineering colleges, which are frankly world-class. It's just a question of making the market operate a little bit better than it currently does. So mining also, another statement that was made today, that mining is dirty. Well, actually, as you increase the productivity of mining, it becomes less and less dirty. Now, I'll just venture for a moment into a parallel universe. We'll talk about oil and gas for a second. If you work in the oil and gas sector, you may think that you get out there, you strip off your shirt, and you're covered in oil, and you're wrenching pipes and stuff like that. I'm afraid that doesn't happen. Most people working in the petroleum sector don't get anywhere near a wellhead. Most of us are busy modeling, calculating budgets, project planning, doing all of the stuff that you need in order to make those people that are at the wellhead are operating at the absolute maximum efficiency. Because after all, it is a dangerous job. It is a dangerous job. And we sadly, all of us know from experience and through friends and relatives that mining is also a dangerous job. So there is an opportunity for us to, if you like, invert the logic that we've used around mining in Indonesia. And really what it revolves around is going in and strengthening your core disciplines. So we've talked about the mining engineering as a discipline. Janine and obviously the Australian universities, the AusIMM, your own institutions are very interested in developing these disciplines, what the French call, if you know the École des Mines in France, what the French call a métier, a métier. It's your professional qualification, and it needs to be rigorous, and it needs to be disciplined, and it needs to be merit-based. And if you build up those professional disciplines, the next step really is around organizational diagnostics. And there are some absolutely outstanding companies that do consulting work in this space that will go in and analyze a mine site. And I can think of one particular company based in Sydney, and they will tell you exactly what is wrong with your mine based on all the other mines that they have seen. But you have to be tough to hear the message, because sometimes what they tell you isn't very nice. It's aggressive, it's painful. But if you've got the guts to listen to it, and you've got the guts to act on it, most importantly, there are, shall we say, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit in the Indian mining sector that could be addressed by these kinds of services. And I think actually, when I think about, and I've said this often to many of you that I've met privately, when I think about the Australia-India mining collaboration space, it's not the thought of BHP or Rio Tinto investing in investing in India that really excites me. It's actually the cluster of METs, our mining services and technology companies, that could really make a transformational difference to the way that you run the mining sector, because they have so much expertise, and there's an awful lot of technical benchmarking that can be done that would raise productivity, and I think in a relatively short space. Now, in order to make this realistic, obviously you need to get the unions on side. This is not something that's just going to happen by a couple of capitalists or a few ministers in the government deciding this is what's going to happen. We have to bring the community with us, and we have to bring the communities in and around mine sites with us. We need to, as I said earlier, we need to address the market failures that exist around mining in India. And again, it's not just about salaries. It's around safety. It's around generating the sort of productivity improvements so that various social services and so on can be delivered into those communities so that they operate better. Now, I touched very briefly on the informal sector, and I don't think we can have a really constructive discussion about the progress of mining in India unless we do at least talk about the informal sector a little bit. I have been to Dhanbad, I've visited the ISM, I've visited mines there, and I have seen the people moving coal on bicycles across town. This is a demonstration of where we have chosen to create markets around the mine sites. As such, I'm not critical of people making a living that way, and I don't think it's fair to judge. But what we do need to remember is that whenever you construct an organization, a profitable organization, people will always come to the periphery to seek opportunities. Now, if those people on the periphery are particularly poor and lack capabilities, they will turn up with bicycles. But if the opportunities around the periphery incentivize those people to learn, to study, to increase their capabilities, you stand a fighting chance of improving the capabilities that are available in the informal sector. Now, this is very ambitious language, but let me give you just a brief contextual overview of what happened in Australia. 50 or 60 years ago, our mining companies were very much smaller, and they were fully integrated. So if you were to talk to a mining engineer who trained in Australia or in the 50s or the 60s, they would tell you how they did just about everything in-house. They didn't really use outside contractors. But we went through a productivity transformation in the 70s and particularly in the 80s, where mining companies realized that, in fact, they didn't need to do everything, that they could, in fact, foster what we call tradies, technicians, etc., who are outside the mining corporate to deliver services that would overall improve the efficiency of the organization. And we developed technical education through our technical and further education colleges, but also through institutions like the AusIMM, to provide a ladder for people who hadn't gone to the ISM or the equivalent in Australia, who had come through, maybe even dropped out of high school, but were smart people, motivated, knew how to run a small business, wanted to run a small business. And we gave them opportunities at the periphery of our mining companies to develop organizations. And this fostered a blossoming, if you like, of activity. And I would like to think that this is possible in India as well. I would like to think that we could establish constructive engagement strategies that would, on the first hand, incentivize professionals to join the firm, join these companies, and drive the productivity gains. But on the other hand, also look outside the firm and develop, with good governance and good practice associated with governance and outsourcing, incentivize micro companies, micro organizations to provide services to your mining corporates so that they could grow. And I think part of finding that solution is actually encouraging a larger number of small and medium-sized mining companies, maybe not very, very small, but certainly medium-sized mining companies. So within the company, you could think of it in terms of a skills pyramid. Janine has touched on that already, giving people a clear ladder that they need to go up in order to both increase productivity, but also improve the capabilities within the organization, but also a skills pyramid for those that are outside of corporates. And finally, I'd like to make a reference also to a comment, and I've forgotten her name, but the lady who spoke about human resources, and she used a wonderful term. She described mining as being the mother industry. And I mean, she really nailed it, I felt, with that comment. It's the mother industry. It is indeed the source of the manufacturing sector, which extends directly out of it. I think that in the case of India, we need to think about shrinking the labor force within the mining sector, as I've said earlier, raising that productivity, recognizing that these are internationally traded commodities. So providing a competitive advantage there, and then growing the manufacturing sector, because that is where you have the capacity to absorb vast numbers of people. And once again, put them into a scenario or put them into a structure that actually improves human capital rather than traps human capital in menial activities. One final thing also about the types of minerals that I think India should be really interested in. Look, I've spent 9 years living in China. I speak Chinese fluently. I love it as a country. But boy, did they pay one hell of a price industrializing their country on the back of coal. Now, I've heard frequent references today to critical minerals, and all of you, I'm sure, will appreciate that President Biden has stridently decided to go after securing supply chains in critical minerals. I think that India will have to depend on its coal for quite some time. But I like to think that for the quality of your human capital, the quality of life in your country, we should be looking beyond this, and we should be doing so actively. And I think that the mining sector, a mining sector that's been beefed up with really good intellectual capital, will be in a position to position India for a much brighter future, not one that's suffering from pollution and the socioeconomic challenges associated with coal. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Edward. I think you are a very outspoken man who did some really plain talking for us. I wonder if we have guts to listen to all you said. We have come to believe somehow that we are doing very well. And it is only after we retire, we accept what you say is right. You know, this is something the wisdom comes in later after we retire. So I have a question. You're right. Why should a mining area, if you have seen an Indian mining area, so polluted that no one likes to live there? That's perhaps the reason why nobody wants to go and work there. The environments have to be improved. The surrounding communities, they have to be involved in what you're doing. They feel like an outsider. No attempts are being made to get them involved into all this. So their living conditions have to be improved. Something has to be done to see that they are also a part of the prosperity which is coming everywhere. So thank you very much, I think, for all the plain talking and good piece of advice which you did for certain, and for putting the things in a proper perspective. You did very well. Keep it up, and we hope to see you more often. Yeah. So, Niranjan, how much time do we have for questions and answers?
Since there is a paucity of time, but still we can take few questions. I have got a few questions in WhatsApp, to which I'll read it through, and then you can decide who will take it up. The first question is, how can Australian training organizations approach Indian companies to propose their training program? And Australia is capable of delivering high-level training and practical experience. Do you think Indian companies are interested in having a continued program where batch after batch receive training in India and sometimes in Australia if required?
Now, who could answer this question? I think Jenny or Edward, who would like to volunteer to answer this question?
Jenny, you go ahead.
Yeah, you can raise your hand so that we know who's the person. Okay, yeah, please. Even if you raise your left hand, yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, just trying to understand exactly what the question is, whether it's about, is it about training companies in India branching into Australia? I'm not sure I actually understood the question.
No, it is about the mining courses which are available there. And if the Indian mining companies would like to make use of them, how is this going to be done? Should they, I mean, you had said that part of it could be done in India and part of it could also be done in Australia. So there will be a transition between what you have learned here and then something to be learned there. How you think would be, the training could be organized in case we like to collaborate and join, the Indian company would like to do that? I think that's my understanding of the question. I hope I'm right.
I guess in the absence of the constraints with travel, that does make it very difficult. So really all we can do at this stage is, online type exchanges. And one of the speakers earlier today talked about having simulators and things like that. But ideally, it would be great to have a reciprocal program where we could offer training in India, training in Australia, and have that collaboration there would be great.
Or you could join hand with some institute in India where you could offer the similar trainings here in India itself, because that will make it easier.
Yeah.
Mr. Arora, if I may come in, hi, this is Varun from Austrade. So
Right.
I believe one of the things which Australian entities can do here is leverage Austrade, because Austrade makes a connection between the Australian businesses and the Indian businesses. And we're here to promote the commercial relationships between the two countries. So Austrade can definitely play a role here. We can link the Australian training institutes and universities and vocational educational trainers to a number of Indian companies, as we do have a presence here on ground.
Right. So there is the answer to part of the answer to the question. So these gentlemen, I hope see the opportunities are there. They could also come and set up the course, join hand with some of the institutes here in India, and the things could be taken on from there onwards, because for taking the workforce over to Australia would probably not manageable, it will be expensive. And I think it will be better to have a center here in India to do that. Why not? Next question.
So the
Mr. Arora, for a while?
Beg your pardon?
Sanjay, this is the last question. Can I also share my experience of this?
You are still here. Oh, very good. Very good. You are still here.
I had my meeting. So see,
Right.
the question is, when I was working with Vedanta Hindustan Limited, then we set up a mining academy in Rajasthan, where we performed a simulator from South Africa.
All right.
Okay, it was costing around 5 rupees. So yes, India I have been traveling to all the states and seen wonderful training institutes, including ITI campuses in Odisha. So
Right.
India, there is a infrastructure available, and even I remember our current chairman, Mr. Satpathy from NMBC, he himself offered that in their plant they have simulator. So any adjoining industries or anybody wants to make use of this facility, they are welcome. So in India, yes, we can be facilitator, we can be catalyst to organize such kinds of training. We have training partners, we have system available, things available, and we can always correlate and facilitate training through theory classes, practice classes, on-the-job training, or through simulators or Simlo. Just wanted to add on from my side, because I have personally steered at Mining Academy, so I have that sort of experience of all the things. Just wanted to pitch in this point.
Very good, Mr. Sharma. Now you have had exposure to a number of Australian institutes and colleges who are willing to offer all this. Now it is for you to put your heads together with them to find out what could be the best suited for Indian, and people like N.K. Nanda, Dr. N.K. Nanda, etc. could help you to decide to hold your hand to decide what exactly is required in this country to take it forward. Yeah. So thank you.
Okay, it's doable. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next question is, considering forthcoming and higher capacity open cast mine in India, what eco-friendly technology are suggested? What will be the prospect of underground mining in India? Is it possible to upgrade existing underground technologies to make underground mining viable and also to extract good quality coal below 500, 600 million level?
Yeah, but now if somebody is talking about the technology for open cast in Australia, one of the Australians could possibly reply to this, but in regard to the Indian coal mining, yeah, I think I will have to say something about it. So the technologies for open cast mining. So Professor Edward Buckingham, would you like to say something about it?
Of course, it really depends on case to case.
Absolutely.
But I mean, obviously Australia has excelled at open cut mining, and one of the reasons why that's happened, if we take the example of gold, for example, is that the prospectivity of gold has declined. So the easy stuff, we dug that out. We had underground mining. We found the seams. With time, the easy stuff disappeared. And now it's really been about shifting very large volumes of ore. And then it's a processing game. It's a processing game. So that the metallurgical process is, if you like, that is the primary value-adding activity in the mining operation rather than simply digging things out. That transition is a natural one. It comes about when there's demand for products and you can come up with a technology which will enable you to extract it. We will see more of this activity taking place in the critical resources which I described earlier. So for stuff like lithium, cobalt, and so on, things that go in batteries and in the new economy. I'm not sure I can say much more than that without.
Yeah, I know. So in regard to the underground mining, I know that what we are doing is not really the best. It is just a matter of marking our presence in the underground coal mines because the productivity has not been really that great. I have visited, 2 Australian mines where they were producing 11,000 metric ton per shift for the last 20 days. That's the kind of productivity they had. But then they were lucky in the kind of geology they had a longwall face, and that was capable of without any geological disturbances or anything. Here we have very restricted availability of a longwall face, and availability is very limited. You can't really have that. So that's why we cannot compare what you have in Australia, but definitely we can do better than what we are. So underground mining, because of the cost, actually most of the Indian miners don't like to encourage too much of underground mining as compared to the cost of open cast mining. So the coal has to be sold at the market price, and most of the Indian underground mines are running at a loss, and nobody wants to hear this except in Coal India. It can continue to work under loss in a few cases, but it can't be, it's prescribed for many of the other operators who are there in the market today. I think that should answer that question. So thank you. Niranjan, any more?
Sir, there is a paucity of time, so I think, sir, you can just sum up now.
All right, so we have had very interesting sessions, which has opened a lot of doors and a lot of eyes for us. Skill Council of the mining skill sector, Sanjay Sharma, is done very well, but I personally feel that a lot more needs to be done to make sure that what they have achieved in a place like Singrauli should be also, available in other coal companies and other areas of the country. I'm sure Mr. Sharma is listening and he would be taking care of it. And then there are a lot of good things happening in Australia. You see, those people who have visited there, they know that the technology, the kind of, the efficiencies they have brought, their care for the environment and all that. You see, ultimately, the environment is something which is going to be bothering all of us. The coal mining is there for the next maybe 1 decade or 2 decades. India and China will have to continue to use coal, but left to the environmentalists, they would like to shut down all the mines. So these are the situation in which we are placed. So that is why we have to do responsible mining, and the coal has to be used responsibly with the best of efficiency so that the pollution load on the environment is kept to the minimum. So with these words, I think we have heard all the Australian people, and we would like to really thank them, for doing a great job. Dr. Nanda also presented a very good perspective from his experience of having been with the Skill Council, and the other people also. We would like to thank you very much for coming to our help and being available to us as and when we need. We hope that once the COVID is out, you people can come to India, and then we can renew our contacts and friendship so that we can take forward whatever things which we have discussed today. So with these words, thank you very much. And Niranjan, you can thank me and we can close it down.
I would like to take this opportunity, thank each and every speaker, all the attendees who were with us since morning. A very special thanks to Mr. V.K. Arora for being a mentor and guide to ICC as always. Special thanks to Austrade and Varun for associating with ICC. And we look forward to many such webinars in the near future. Thank you, everyone. Stay healthy and stay safe.
So has the lunch been late already? Yeah. Okay.
Lunch is on time, sir. It's
okay.